So, if you guys know anything about me, you know that I am not computer savvy. So, the easier, the better. And that's why I decided to use Anchor.fm for my podcast. You should too. They have creative tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone. They distribute your podcast for you, and you can make money with no minimum listenerships. And above everything, it's totally free. So, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair to change my underwear. It seems he just don't care. What's up, y'all? What's up? So we are back with another episode. I have a very special guest on the mic with me today. My little sister Brianna. Say what's up.
What's up?
All right. So today we are talking about the role our parents play in our lives when they are absent, whether it be physically or emotionally. Let's talk about it. So sis.
Yes.
Physically or emotionally?
Which one is worse?
Which is more detrimental?
Definitely to be emotionally absent.
Emotionally. Let's talk about it. What makes you feel like an emotionally absent parent is more detrimental than a physically absent parent?
Because if you're not there physically, then, if you're not there emotionally for me as a parent, then you might as well not be around. What are you there for if you can't be there for me emotionally? So you might as well just leave. Not be around at all. They're both detrimental.
Facts.
But to be present and not do your job, you might as well just
not be there.
Not be there. For what?
Big facts. You know what? I'm going to have to agree with that 110%. Because, if you were absent on a physical level, that's all I know. You ain't there.
Right.
That's all I know. And that's all I feel. You feel me? So I'm going to have to just paint a picture in my own mind as to why you're not there. You feel me? But if on an emotional level, you're absent, but you're physically there, that's going to cause me, I feel like, way more trauma. You feel me? Than what it would cause me if you were not there on a physical level. So, throughout our lives, we've experienced some things. We've had some experiences out here in life. You feel me? And speaking from a perspective of an absent mother, and for your perspective, an absent father and an emotionally absent mother, what does it look like now that we are grown? What kind of effect does that have on us or you?
It is very, I won't even say very hard because I'm more aware of how it has affected me and how I don't want it to affect my children.
Facts.
But when I first became a mother, even though it's only been 3 years, it was hard for me to be emotional with my kids in the way that they needed me. Having to get down on their level, on their childhood level, having to be there in the ways that they needed me. It was hard for me to do that because I didn't know that. I didn't see what that looked like. So I had to unlearn everything that was bestowed upon me, if you will. I had to unlearn that shit.
Absolutely have to unlearn that. And it's hard. To unlearn what you've known, where you come from, your experiences, because those shape you. You know what I'm saying? So being emotionally available when you have never been shown emotional availability or given emotional availability, that's tough. You feel me? So it's like, well, how do I be available to my kids emotionally when I've never seen it, or right. I've never had it, or I've never experienced it, And that means that we're more inclined to repeat cycles, with our own children, and then their children, and then their children. So it's so important to have these conversations and to realize that we are part of a cycle, and that we need to get out of it. So how do you get out of it?
I think the first step is admitting that it's there.
Facts.
Looking at it.
Definitely.
Facing it head on.
Definitely.
And making the conscious choice to, all right, we ain't gonna do this no more.
Man. And that's it right there. Because it's even, you know, after you make the choice and you got to really put in the effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's the thing right there, to be practical and really do something about it. You know? So how do you, or how can you use that experience to be a better person? Not just mother, but just a better person.
Well, when you know better, you do better. So
have you found that you are emotionally unavailable to people, not just, you know, your children?
For me personally, it's mostly with my children.
Thanks.
Because I even look at it like in my romantic relationships, it's easy for me to be emotional, vulnerable, and all this. But when it comes to my kids, I'm like, it's like a block.
A disconnect.
Yeah. It's like I don't even be wanting to hug my kids. And I feel like that's a problem. Definitely. That's not cool.
That's deep.
Yeah, so it's mostly pertaining to my kids, yeah.
I see. And what about the role absent or emotionally absent or physically absent father play?
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Don't I know it? So from my experience, I realized because I had a lack of a father growing up, I had father figures, but because I didn't have my father there, I put up with a lot of bullshit from men just so they would stay around. And I accepted a lot of things I knew I shouldn't have or was beneath me just for the sake that I could say, all right, he's around. Yeah, and I didn't, even now, I still don't really know sometimes how to interact with a man and understand men. So it's definitely affecting me in that way.
So is it then a matter of a trial and error, just learn as you go, or do you actively take steps to learn how to be with men, or
Both.
Okay. So definitely the trial and error is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You know, as you grow and go on your journey. But the actual putting in the work to learn and understand, how is that? What does that look like? Because see, the thing is, well, at least for me, like my dad was there. So I don't really have that. I didn't have that experience to know. On the emotional level though, my dad was not always there on the emotional level. My dad is very logical, you know, but emotionally, it can be a challenge to deal with men on an emotional level for me because I did not have that as much as I needed. And don't get me wrong, because can't nobody say nothing to me about my daddy. But a straight bull and very logical, a lot of times I did not feel comfortable with the emotional aspect of the relationship. There's a lot of things that I experienced that I went through by myself with my father there. And I was raised in a home, excuse me, I was raised in a home with a single father and boys. So emotions was never really a thing, you know, and that can be detrimental for a girl. The results, I'm pretty logical just naturally, but on the emotional level, I'm pretty logical as well. So when it comes to like processing emotions and really just being in it on the emotional level, that's really a struggle. That can really be a struggle for me because I'm so used to processing things on a logical level. So it can seem like I'm pretty out of touch on an emotional level. Nowadays, I realize this though, and I've gotten really good with processing things on the emotional level. But to have a household where emotions are not really brought to the light or really honored for what they are, allowing them to be vulnerable can be very detrimental to a girl, growing up. Because now I'm just like, emotions. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Why? But that's not always cool. It's important to have that emotional connection from your parents, so you can have that emotional connection, not only with your children, but to the outside world.
Yeah, because we've dealt with that where I needed you to be emotional for me for a second, and I'm like, bitch, where are your emotions?
And you know what though? It's not even like I don't even be meaning to do it, and that's the thing. It's a subconscious thing at this point, because this is me.
It's just in you.
It's just in me, and it's been in me, and I was raised like it. A household with no girls is like emotion. What the fuck is you crying for? You crying again? Oh my God! And you know what though? And I see it completely 110% in my parents, and I have a daughter who is straight emotion, and I'm just like, oh my God. This again, what is the problem, bro? And then I got that bro thing back too. Cause she knows she a girl, it's just like, be there for me, emotion, let me cry. I'm just like, oh my God. So definitely the disconnect, the lack of in the household growing up has definitely reared its ugly head in my life as an adult. But very conscious of it now. Therefore, I do put forth a serious effort to honor emotions, not just my daughter, but my own, and not just my daughters, my son as well. Have to make a safe space for our men, our boys, to have emotions and be able to process them as well. It's so important. Um, so that in that aspect, my experience has definitely made me better, because now I am aware. I've gone through it. So I understand where I lack. So we definitely on the road of recovery here.
Say the least.
To say the least, so advice you would give your parents then and now, what advice you have for your parents?
Then versus now. That's a that's a deep question.
Yeah.
Then I would say, specifically to our mother, I would say, be here for me now because it's going to affect me later.
Facts.
And not in a positive way. And as far as my dad, I would say, stay where you at.
That's deep.
Don't even try to come back, and just stay where you at, how it is now. Keep it that way.
And why? What makes you feel that way?
Because I had to have the experience of not knowing my father, then getting to know him, then needing him in a different way when I became an adult, and now he's not here again. So it's kind of like a tease. It was like, why come back into my life, make it seem like you were going to be in my life for the rest of my life, and then drop the ball again. It was like, what was the point of that? You could have just stayed away, and I would have been cool. I would have been cool, obviously. Like it still would have affected me,
right?
But it was like,
but that experience was almost more detrimental than
like don't come in and then go back out again, and then like you could have just not ever contacted me, and that would have been okay. Because now you're causing more damage.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So in that respect, definitely an absent parent is better than an emotionally absent parent.
And as far as now, it would still be the same advice for my dad: stay away. And then for our mother, I would say, stop beating yourself up. At this point,
big facts. I'm definitely going to agree with that. Let's swing back around to the dad though, because is that experience, or is these feelings coming from a hurt place, or is it coming from it is what it is, I'm over it, it's okay?
It is what it is, and it just doesn't make sense to me to do that. Like, what sense does that make? To not be there, and then not be there again. And especially when, I've transitioned from child into womanhood. So now I need you in a different way. So I need you in a different way now. And then you're making it seem like you're going to be there and you're not at all. So why even
play with it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
You could have kept that over there.
You hear me? So the advice that I would probably give my father then, I would say, my dad's a bull, okay? The Taurus to the T. I would say, easy, easy, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Easy on the aggression, and not like a physical or painful aggression like that, but it's just like allow those emotions, allow room for that experience to happen, especially with the daughter, and be okay with that, and let that be. The advice I would give my parents now, well, my dad now, I would probably say the same thing. Now, my dad is grown and obviously has grown as a man and as a father. But the advice that I would probably give him now is to try to understand where you lacked then as far as emotions, and especially when it comes to boys. I grew up in a household with a brother, and I really felt like his emotions were not allowed more so than mine, because he was a boy, and these men have the ideology that you got to be men. Men don't cry, and
and then you got all these broken little boys walking around in these adult men bodies. And
exactly. So the advice that I could give now would be to address it and to make your intentions clear. Because a lot of times we can really be detrimental to our young men because they've never been able to express themselves on an emotional level with their fathers. And it's
when
so
they have
necessary.
kids, it's the same thing over again.
Same thing over again, over again. The advice that I would give my mother then, the experience that I had with my mother, the advice that I would give her is do what's best. And I feel like she really did what's best. My mother became absent around 4 years old for me. And now that I look back on it, I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that, because my experience would not have been my experience without that experience right there. And back then, I looked at it as something negative and something to cry about and something to be sad about. But as I was growing and experiencing life, I realized that that's the best thing that could have happened to me. So that's really a blessing. So the advice then would definitely be do what's best. And the advice now is to continue to stand in your truth. To continue to stand in your truth. Me and my mother have a wonderful relationship, because my mother is very honest about who she is and how she is. And I fuck with that. You feel me? Like, that's why our relationship is so solid now, because not only did she confront my past traumas, she told me the intentions behind my past traumas and my experiences as a kid that I didn't understand at age 4. I understand now, and she addressed it and she apologized, and we had that conversation that needed to be had, which is so important, and I'm very thankful for that. So I would definitely say for her to continue to stand in her truth. It's a beautiful thing when you are able to be open and honest and upfront with yourself first and with your children, about the things that you were going through or you went through, and how it affected them and the outcome, So I definitely love that about her, and that's definitely the advice that I would give her. But what about the advice that you would give yourself then? If you could talk to the child in you You feel me? Rewind back to those traumatic days when you was a kid and you needed X, Y, and Z, and what advice would you give yourself if you can just talk to yourself?
I would say, what wouldn't I say? What wouldn't I say? I would say more positive affirmations to myself. I would uplift myself more, let myself know it's going to be okay. Tell myself to not engage in certain people and certain behaviors. I would definitely tell myself to think more positively about things. Yeah.
And then what about the advice you would give yourself now that you've gone through all of this and you've experienced some life, man, and you know your traumas? Honestly,
breathe, bitch. It's gonna be all right.
Man.
No, I now honestly slow down, breathe, take a moment, assess before you act. Look at everything that's going on around you. It's okay. It's cool. You don't have to have it all figured out right now, this very second.
Big facts.
You barely scratching the surface. Like you just transitioning into womanhood. It's okay. You don't have to have your life figured out in 5 minutes. It's all right.
Yeah, because you only 23, right? And I'm only 28. And we got some ways to go. You feel me?
You old, bro.
Hey, don't be disrespectful. But definitely.
What advice would you give yourself?
Advice I would give myself then
and now, yeah.
Then and now. Okay, so then the advice that I would give myself is, man, just like you said, breathe. Then it's gonna be okay. Everything happens for a reason. You don't understand it right now. And it might be a while before you understand it, but it all happens for a reason. Definitely. Advice that I would give myself now. I would definitely tell myself or advise myself to continue to grow, continue to be vulnerable. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is to be as vulnerable as I can be. Why? And that's because nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to be raw. Nobody wants to be open. Nobody wants to really expose who they are and how they feel. But
because it's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. But I found so much strength in being vulnerable. And vulnerability is not my thing. It is now.
Oh, and I like that you just said that, because I think people have there's this negative connotation with vulnerability that it makes you weak or whatever.
It makes you strong.
Yeah, I think it's the complete opposite.
Complete opposite. Bruh, because now that I'm so open and I just put it all out there, first of all, the thing about emotions is that we all have the same fucking emotions. We all be feeling the same. We all have the same experiences. We all have the same hurt. You feel me? And nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to admit it. Well, here I am. I hurt. You feel me? I cry. You feel me? I go through shit.
Wait, you cry?
I cry. I was crying on the episode prior to this. Like, you feel me? I'm a human. And I have feelings. And I'm putting it all on the line, being vulnerable, because we all hurt. We all human. We all have feelings. You feel me? And it's time to open up and process them, to be honest and real with them and about them, because it's okay. Because one thing that I've noticed for sure, only growth come from vulnerability. You feel me? You only get better when you being honest and open. It's essential for growth. It's essential to be a better person. You have to be vulnerable. Now, it's not always comfortable. Matter of fact, it ain't never comfortable. But as you grow within yourself, it's easier. It becomes way easier because shit, you feel the same way I feel. I just got the balls to say it. No cap.
My head is ringing.
Okay. We got cut off for a second, but we're back on. We are back on. Okay. But yeah, like I was saying though, it's a lot of power in being vulnerable. It's a lot of power and opportunity for growth and being vulnerable. You feel me? So it's time. It's time to speak on it. It's time to be open and honest about our pains, our traumas. And yeah, it requires some vulnerability, but like I said, there's a lot of growth and opportunity in being vulnerable and being open and honest about the way that we feel, and not just you, but everybody. We all, you feel me, have experiences that has made us hurt, cry, you feel me, stagnant, develop cycles, repeat cycles, you know. So it's time to talk about it. It's time to grow from it. And that requires us to be vulnerable and to be open and to be honest. And you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with it. All right. Thank y'all so much for joining us for this episode. Thank you so much to my little sister for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yes, y'all. Love and lights.